Honorable colleagues, I have examined and approved the votes and positions of Tuesday, 3rd December 2019. Honorable colleagues, we have with us today the Federation of Ekiti Students Union from Ekiti. Please, can you rise for recognition, please? Thank you. You may sit down. There's an announcement from Honorable Magaji Dao, Chairman Power. Acquisition of prepaid meters. This is to notify honorable members who are interested in acquiring prepaid meters in their respective houses, offices in Abuja or constituencies should channel their request through the House Committee on Power Secretariat at room 20, second floor, White House, House of Representatives, National Assembly, Abuja, on or before 12 December 2019. For further inquiry, please contact the clerk of the committee, 08039 739 147. So if you're interested in acquiring prepaid meters for your offices, homes, and constituencies, please contact the aforementioned number. Any member who has a petition may please rise to do so now. Honorable Isiaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, I have before me here, I'm Honorable Isiaka Ayokunle Ibrahim. I represent the very good people of a Wipro federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the state. I have before me here a petition from my constituent, specifically from Elder Amusa, through heirs, legal practitioners, and property consultants. And this petition is for the release of final payment of the sum of 7,975,399 naira 35 kobo, being the balance for the construction of asphalted road to control erosion at Ajawa Olomo Road, Abulefo, Ogun State. It was awarded by the Federal Ministry of Environment to Anjorin Nigeria Limited. According to the petition and by the letter from the lawyer, the contract was awarded October 12 and was completed since the year 2014 up to date. The ministry, despite all entreaties, appeals, and letters, refused to pay the money, and the member from my constituent, Elder Amusa, requires your intervention via this petition so that it can be paid this money. I so present, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yeah, you may lay your petition. Any other petition? Any other petition? Honorable Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ojo, is your NDDC report ready? Honorable Bumi Ojo. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Chris Emeka Azubog. I represent Nnewi North South and Ekusigo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I have with me here a petition from Corporate Affairs Commission on the issue of inaccurate media reporting of the votes and proceedings of the House of Representatives on the second motion on matters of urgent public importance, item 6 of 2 of Thursday, 14th November 2019. The petition intends to address the issue of, maybe may I read out what this day wrote on the 15th. House asks federal government to suspend acting CAC Registrar General Azinge. So these are the contents of petition with the votes and proceedings of the House, which actually contradicts what the House resolved on, and that made CAC to bring this petition. Now I seek the leave of the House to lay the petition, Your Excellency.
But I think, that should have probably come under personal explanation rather than a public petition. The votes of proceedings were inaccurately reported, or what happened in the House was inaccurately reported. Is that it? That does not require any trial or any investigation. But yeah, go ahead and lay up. I would have thought the faster way, or fast track, would have been for whoever was affected, the chairman of that committee, to say no, this was not what was. But you can lay the petition. Any other petition? So we can move on. Motion of urgent public importance. Honorable Minority Leader. Okay, sorry. All petitions refer to the Committee on Public Petitions. Yeah, go ahead, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come under Order 8, Rule 4 and 7, matter of urgent national importance. Mr. Speaker, if you notice, or if you call people in various hospitals, they will tell you that major symptom we're having now among youths has to do with
Chairman, Lagos Caucus. Lagos Caucus, please. The Minority Leader is moving a motion of urgent public importance.
Has to do with kidney failures, heart-related cases, and this scene.
Honorable Ilabe, please. Go ahead, Minority Leader.
And this thing is as a result of fake drugs, substandard goods that are being brought into the country. And this is giving support based on the fact that the relevant bodies that are meant to be at the ports, the airports, the borders, have been asked to leave those places, even though the law establishing them stipulates that they must all be at the ports and borders. Take, for instance, Son. Last week, we moved a motion, passed a resolution, instructing Son to check the excesses of those bringing contraband and substandard goods. Mr. Speaker, how can they do that when they have been asked to leave the borders and the seaports? So my motion borders on what is happening to our constituents. Many people are dying based on substandard products. So I'm urging this House to take it as an urgent national importance. Yesterday we lost somebody. We have not even asked the doctors to diagnose, to tell us what happened. It could also be as a result.
Okay, any seconder to the motion? Honorable Eden.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Idem Unyime, member representing Ukanafun Rowanam in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion assembly moved by the Minority Leader. I so second.
Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Minority Leader, you move for suspension if you want to take it now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Shimli Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. I move that we suspend Order 8, Rule 7 to enable us consider this motion as urgent national importance. I so move.
Honorable Sai, 1 second.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. I rise to second the motion that all relevant rules be suspended to enable the minority that takes this motion. I so second.
Those in support that we suspend our rules to take this matter now, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Lubelu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elumelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimli Federal Constituency. I'm proudly from Delta State. The House notes with serious concern the exclusion of SON and NAFDAC from the list of agencies at all ports and borders as a clear signal for purveyors of substandard products and drugs and their collaborators that the road is wide open for nefarious and unpatriotic activities. The House also notes that whereas the SON and NAFDAC, under their various acts, but most importantly, SON Act 14 of 2015 expressly provide that Standard Organization of Nigeria shall have a right of access at reasonable times to any premises, including all Nigerian seaports, airports, and land borders, where an industrial or commercial undertaking is being carried on, and may use reasonable force if need be to gain entry. Meanwhile, the agency since November 2011 has been out of all the ports and borders on the order of the Federal Minister of Finance, as it were. Further note that since the expulsion of SON and NAFDAC from all borders and ports, there has been unabated importation of substandard products into the country by unpatriotic Nigerians. And this itself is one of the highest forms of corruption and threats to national security. Aware that the ministerial directives expelling SON and NAFDAC from all ports and borders was done without taking cognizance of the compelling need for SON and NAFDAC to be at all ports and borders in line with the requirement of the law. Further aware that the reasons for the removal of SON and NAFDAC advanced by the Minister of Finance in 2011 was the slowdown of clearance of goods and ports and borders. However, it is pertinent to note that those reasons are no longer tenable, as clearance of goods are now done electronically in support of the diversification of the economy in line with the presidential directive on the ease of doing business. Concerned that apart from countries that have established single window platform for the inspection and clearance of goods at their ports and borders, all other countries have their standard bodies at the ports and borders to enable them prevent the influx of counterfeit and substandard goods. Further concerned that the need for the physical presence of SON and NAFDAC at the point of inspection seeks to complement the shortcomings of the electronic clearance, since it is impossible to assess or ascertain the quality of goods being cleared electronically. Worried that preventing SON and NAFDAC from operating at any port or border into the country is in flagrant disregard to the act establishing the two agencies. Worried that no other agency can carry out the statutory functions of SON, nor NAFDAC, nor NDLE on their behalf at the ports and borders, as their function of quality assurance cannot be interchanged with any sister agency. The House therefore resolved to urge the federal government to rescind the order, thereby allowing SON and NAFDAC in carrying out its statutory mandate, especially as it relates to checking the influx and circulation of substandard and life-endangering products into Nigeria. Secondly, that the House direct its relevant committees to have an interface with the Minister of Finance on the urgent need for for the urgent need for Son NAFDA to return the ports and borders without further delay. I so move.
Any seconder, please? Ishmael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Tijani Kayode Ismail. I represent the good people of Ofa, Ifelodu, or your federal constituency. I second the motion heavily moved by the House Leader. Minority Leader. I so second.
Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this motion is brought forth to us given the risk associated with allowing substandard products into the country. Mr. Speaker, just like I highlighted earlier, if you go to most hospitals, both in the rural areas or even in the urban areas, most cases that are reported today are kidney failures or kidney-related diseases. And Mr. Speaker, this is as a result of the fact that when you go to most hospitals, you find out that some of the drugs that they are using are all substandard. You take, for instance, you have malaria, for instance. Mr. Speaker, it takes you 3 times of taking that same drug for you to have malaria in your body cured. Why? Because they are not of standard. And that has informed why this motion is brought forth, for us to allow the relevant agencies that should check this attitude of unpatriotic Nigerians so that we can have quality products being brought into the country. You remember Dora Akunyele of the blessed memory? She was almost killed for ensuring that quality drugs and products are allowed only into the country. They called her names. But as at that time, we had relief from people complaining about fake drugs or substandard products. So, Mr. Speaker and fellow colleagues, we don't know who next this can affect. People die of heart attack. People die of all sorts of things. Why? Because the things we consume, we do not know how they are brought into the country. And except there is a means that we can use to check the excesses of these unpatriotic Nigerians, Mr. Speaker, we will not be able to solve the problem. There are some people somebody I had cause to interview in Dubai, and he told me what happens. That sometimes some of these pharmaceutical agencies, companies, come to them and tell them that they should reduce the standard of the things that they are producing for them. If you go to China, for instance, they will ask you, do you want original or do you want half original? And it's happening everywhere. Mr. Speaker, please protect me from Deputy Minority Leader. On a more serious note, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious matter. Like I said, yesterday we lost one of our best. We have not even gotten the preliminary report of what happened. It is possible. Wrong medication. Somebody who went to Lagos for a retreat came back on Sunday only for him to collapse on the early morning of Monday. It gives room for us to ask ourselves questions, what is happening? So, Mr. Speaker and fellow colleagues, please, there is need for us to look at this motion objectively and ensure that the relevant thing is done to safeguard the life of our people that have voted us into this hollow chamber. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ali Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Nasir Ali Ahmed. I represent Nasara Federal Constituency and I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I must say this motion is very, very important and it is timely. The battle against fake drugs and substandard goods, Mr. Speaker, starts at the point of entry. It starts at the point of entry into our country, and that is the ports that we have, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once these fake drugs and substandard goods are not checked at the point of entry and they are allowed to enter into the different parts of the country, then it's a major problem, Mr. Speaker. We're a country of about 200 million people, and you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, when we have fake drugs and substandard goods all over the country. The minority leader even spoke about in China, where you can have drugs manufactured at 50% of their capacity. Mr. Speaker, we even have situations that are worse than that, where you have chalk, ordinary chalk that is grinded and used as Panadol. They package it as Panadol and they sell it to people. This will even kill any human being that takes it. So, Mr. Speaker, the same way that we are tackling the battle of importation, we are tackling the illegal importation of arms and ammunition at the ports, is the same way that we should tackle the illegal importation of fake drugs and substandard goods. Like I said, Mr. Speaker, the battle begins at the point of entry. That is the most important part. Once it enters into the country, it becomes almost impossible to track it. We have hundreds and thousands of pharmacies in Nigeria. We have hundreds of thousands of hospitals. Imagine if these fake drugs land in these hospitals. Mr. Speaker, it is a major issue. So I strongly support the minority leader, Mr. Speaker, because as they say, health is wealth, and we should not joke with our health. Mr. Speaker, I urge every single member in this House to please support this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is James Abiodun Faleke. I represent Ikeja Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, as much as I'm not against this motion, I need to put us through some levels of importation, which will enable us to determine where SUNCAP or SUN or SON will be fitted, either at the seaports or at the point of loading. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, before you import any goods into Nigeria, you are expected to fill a Form M, which gives you an import permit. On the Form M, before you can fill the Form M, if you are bringing in equipment or anything, you must come in with a product certificate from SUNCAP. That product certificate states that the goods you are importing has been inspected and certified quality and correct. Upon that, the Form M is approved for you to import. If we have to ask SUNCAP or standard, if they have to sit at the ports to inspect goods, that is destination inspection. What it means is that they have to take samples of every product and go analyze it at the ports and go analyze it at the labs. And the ports and the goods will be seated in the ports. It could take weeks. So what we should do, sir, minority leader, is to ask SUNCAP, there are agents that are doing these inspections at various countries that have been, where the goods have been shipped. Those agents should be recertified to be sure that any goods they sign meets the quality required. And I think this would be the best way, rather than asking all the agents to be at the seaports and be delaying the goods and causing trouble for businessmen in Nigeria. That's my own, that would be an amendment that I would propose to this motion.
Honorable Abejide.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Leke Abejide is my name. Member representing the good people of Yagba East, Yagba West, Mapamu Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I just want to lend my voice to what Honorable Faleke has just said concerning the issue of importation. I want to let the minority leader know that NAFDAC is in the port, even up to now. And SON, they are equally, that is Standard Organization of Nigeria, they are equally at the port. In fact, they even have their offices well established within the port. And not only that, they are on the single window. Whatever you import, once you make assessment with the custom, the information goes straight to the single window. SON will assess it, NAFDAC will assess it. You see, most of these fake products you see around come through the border. If not now that the border is closed, there are so many fake products around. Because in the border, the importer will come in with sided truck. They will offload the goods at the foreign ports, and then you don't know what they have loaded under the truck. One container or one truck can carry 5 container loads. And by the time they are coming in, there is no chance for either custom or NAFDAC or SON to assess whatever is loaded inside the truck. That is why we have said that this border closure have more gain than disadvantages. Please, I would also like to advise this House to help Standard Organization of Nigeria by inviting the Central Bank governor to come and explain to us why one cannot use SUNCAP to import goods. If you see most of the imported goods now, they are being under import permit. And the reason is very simple. These 41 items that are on the list of CBN governor does not make the product certificate useful. If you cannot use your product certificate issued by Cotecna or SGS appointed by SON in China or in India or in Germany or in US, who are to issue SUNCAP, there's no how you can get SUNCAP in Nigeria. The issue of 41 items need to be looked into. This is what is responsible for fake products in Nigeria. Because most of the goods that comes in, they don't come with SUNCAP. And the reason is that they cannot be approved because they are on the list of 41 items. If you issue a Form M, you fill a Form M and you submit to any bank in Nigeria, the bank will tell you so item and 41 item. Because of that, they will reject your Form M. So you have to go through import permit. And import permit does not give any standard to the goods. The import permit only allows you to bring the goods to Nigeria. When the goods come to Nigeria, it is then the SUNCAP will now look at the standard. But the good is already here. So the best thing is for the 41 item issue to be looked into and be corrected so that any good that will be imported to Nigeria will be ascertained from the origin, whether it's quality enough for Nigeria consumption. Without this, we will continue to have fake products. So please, my advice is for us to invite the CBN governor to come and educate us why people cannot get for men using product certificate issued by the manufacturer in the origin. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Honorable Nkiruka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues. My name is Nkiruka George. I represent the good people of Isukwato Munoj Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what the minority leader have raised this morning is of great importance. And as far as I'm concerned, the one critical question we should ask is, even when NAFDAC and SON are at the seaport, were people importing expired goods, adulterated products? And if the answer is yes, now you're asking them to move. How do you want to ensure that substandard products and expired products and substandard goods do not find their ways on, inside the city or in our shops and homes? So I support what the minority leader have brought here this morning, that there is no way we'll be talking about cleaning up the system and then we are jeopardizing it. We should learn from our experience. He mentioned Dora Akuyem. At that particular time, she even set up a committee that we are entering shops and stores. And I know that it was during those periods that they were able to capture people who not just imported, but they were doing adulterated products inside their warehouses and inside their shops. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this issue is very straightforward. Some issues, some cap. But the point is this: how are they at the pre-destination from where these goods are coming? If you are not sure that they are inspecting it before it arrives here, and you're saying they should move away from port, how do we ensure that? Before we do that, we must make sure that at every port of loading, that the SON personnel, NAFDAC personnel, must be at the port of loading. If they are not at port of loading, you cannot ask them to leave the port because this is destination. So they have to inspect the goods that are arriving here to be able to ascertain whether they are expired, whether they are substandard, or whether they are fit for consumption when you're talking about the goods that we consume. So there's no way we'll sit here and support something that will jeopardize the system further. So I align myself with what minority leader have said, that they should return them to the seaport, even on the airport. I'm also even suggesting that they should even have one section that will be going to the markets, going to the stores, to look at the drugs that are being sold on the shelves. Because we know that most of the ailments that he has mentioned, many people are dying because they are taking fake drugs. Because Dora Akuyem said at a time that either her senior sister or her junior sister was administered a fake injection, and she died. And that was what motivated her to make sure that this particular item, issue of fake drugs and substandard goods, that she had to fight, even when it means that he was fighting a cabal that at the time even threatened to kill her. So the simple matter here is we are urging the government or any agency that have asked them to leave the port to restate them until such a time that we know that on every port of loading that our own agents certified, who are true Nigerians, who believe that what hurt one hurts another, will be there to inspect goods that are being loaded to this country before you said people who are on destination should move. So I align myself with what Honorable Minority Leader has said, and also to add that people who are given responsibilities should do research before they come out with policies that will jeopardize and take us 100 miles back from where we are just coming out from. I so submit.
Silence, please. Honourable members, silence, please.
Honorable Sai.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent Dokwa Opani Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, we are living in a time where executive orders are more superior than the law. When we live in a time where executive orders are more superior than the law, this kind of actions do take place. But at the same time, this is the house of the people that needs to check such excesses. Mr. Speaker, the crux of the matter now is that do NAFDAC and the Sun have the authority or the instrument of the law to be at the airport or not? That's a question that agitates minds. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, the answer is yes. That the instrument of the law authorized these two agencies to be at the port. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, executive order on ease of doing business is generated from the instrument of the law passed by this House. And what are these instruments of the law? One is the credit reporting, which the 8th Assembly passed. Two is the Company and Allied Matters Act, which the 8th Assembly passed. Three is the Collateral Registry and Movable Assets Act, which the 8th Assembly passed. The question is this: what will the 9th National Assembly be remembered for? Is it by flattening the laws, or when the laws are flattered, we allow it to go? If the 9th Assembly is going to be remembered at that, it depends on the resolution you take today. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, it is clear that this power is confined on these two agencies, and they're supposed to be there in at the point where these goods are coming. Mr. Speaker, we have visited the port, and in visiting the port, we discovered that the only thing that makes delay of goods out from the port is custom themselves, because the custom have rejected scanning machine. Now, once a scanning machine is installed in our port, it is easy. It is practically easy to access it within a very short period of time. And other sister agencies in a collaborative manner. Other sister agencies in a collaborative manner. We enhance efficiency. We enhance to protect Nigerians by making sure that the standard organizations you gauge it effectively. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I urge
honorable colleagues, this column is very, very loud. Sorry, please, this column is very, very loud. We can hardly hear the debate. This particular section, there's a lot going on. Can everybody go back to their seats, please?
Coco, go back to your seat.
Air Force, thank you. Thank you. Honorable Sai, can you round up?
Thank you for your protection from Faleke. Mr. Speaker, what I said from the beginning and in rounding up is that the instrument of the law created the essence of executive order. So a executive order is no more superior than the act of parliament. It is on this ground that the National Assembly, who have initiated and passed the act of parliament that created these agencies, should also be up and doing in protecting that which they have created. You cannot create a sun and destroy a sun. That's what my issues are. And if the clear point is that the National Assembly has passed those laws, the law must be respected, and it's higher than executive order. I so submit.
Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Gwajiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, the motion by the minority leader regarding the reinstatement of certain agencies in various ports and seaports and airports is quite germane. And the motion, which is captured under the Act establishing Standard Organization of Nigeria in 2015, simply has a statutory flavor. There is statutory flavor to it. And the Act says in 30B that Standard organizations shall have a right of access at reasonable times to any premises, including all Nigerian sea ports, airports, land borders, where an industrial or commercial undertaking is being carried on, and may use reasonable force, if need be, to gain entry. Mr. Speaker, this is a statement of the law. I know in trying to run the country and trying to...
Hold on 1 second. Honorable Lumelu, sorry, I was not following the earlier debate. Standard Organization of Nigeria, were they stationed permanently in these areas before? Now they remove them. Okay. What Honorable Toby has read, Honorable Toby, what you have read is the provision you have read does not give Standard Organization of Nigeria the right to remain. Hold on a second, please. Hold on a second, Honorable Toby. I just wanted to clarify something, since I wasn't following the debate. What you have read, and I listened to you carefully, is that Standard Organization of Nigeria has a right to access at reasonable times, and that they can even force their way in. Now, access is different from my understanding of what you read. It's different from having a permanent site there. I just wanted to know what the debate, what the issues were. That's all. I'm just trying to clarify what the issues are. So there are two different things, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I was going to have a point of order because Mr. Speaker was contributing to the debate.
No, I was guiding the debate. There's a difference. I was guiding the debate.
Properly guided, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Well, like I said, have they tried to have access and they were stopped? The answer is yes. Mr. Speaker, by a letter that was written, these agencies were asked to leave the ports. But it is also that in trying to cure one defect, you create another. Nobody will appreciate or sanction a situation where Nigerian citizens, their health situation is compromised, or the equipment or facilities we use in this country is compromised because goods are substandard. Nobody would want that. I also understand the constraint of the executive as at then that had to take these measures. These were because there were a lot of delays in the ports. There were a lot of challenges. But like one of the men who went for investigation, they have long discovered that the delays is not a matter of SON or NAFDAC, that there were other constraints. So the intention might be good, but we might be creating a situation that might work to the detriment of Nigerians. I have also listened to Honorable Faleke, who was the chairman customs. I appreciate the fact that he's fairly and quite knowledgeable about the operations there. Mr. Speaker, I agree with him. This should be within the domain of pre-shipment. What is necessary is for our officials to be properly located where these goods are emanating from. What will be the effect of having to bring in goods here, they inspect them, and they are found to be substandard? Maybe not by the mere fact of an importer intending to do so, but due to the fact that the manufacturer deliberately wanted to export bad products to Nigeria. So there is pre-shipment. And prior, if we allow it to arrive in Nigeria, it means we will suffer double jeopardy. First, the importer will lose money. Two, Nigerians' health will be compromised. And we don't want all these things littering, fairly bad products littering Nigeria, including drugs. So I understand the challenges. So for me, I think we have to take a decision by this parliament that is knowledge-based. We must be properly informed. We need to know, we need to be in the know on what actually is the situation now, where the imperfections are. And this is why I am supporting this motion, but I am also asking that the committees on commerce, the committees on customs, and other related committees do a thorough investigation of the modus operandi of what is happening actually in the ports now. By the time they submit their report to Parliament, Parliament would have taken full view and cognizance of the challenges we have and will come to a better judgment of what should be the right action to take. So I will support this motion, and I believe with a little amendment it should be supported by our colleagues. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think Honorable Faleke, you have an amendment. Can you move your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I'm James Abiodun Faleke. My amendment is that the motion being moved by the minority leader is about destination inspection. And when you bring in goods here you want to inspect, it causes a lot of havoc. I'm amending that it should be a pre-shipment inspection. That standard organization, which they are currently doing it now, they have agents all over the world, which carries out this inspection. They should recertify them to be sure that they are doing the right thing and they are following the proper channel before goods are allowed to come into Nigeria. That's my amendment.
Any Secretary Honorable Benson?
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I remain Baba Jimmy Benson, Ikorodu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I actually want to contribute to the debate and not to second what...
We are at the stage of amendment. So, do you still want to amend? Second?
By Honorable Faleke.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Toby, amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My amendment is that all relevant committees of the House should thoroughly investigate this matter on what the operating situation now and report back to the House within 3 weeks. I so move.
Any Honorable Kiruka?
Kiruga Onye Georgia, representing Isukwatu Munoj Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. I second the amendment as moved by Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Tony. I so second. Toby.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Amendment? Okay, go ahead. What's your amendment? Honorable Abaniko.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and respected colleagues. I have observation, and I'm Ibrahim Babajide Obaniko, Etiosa Federal Constituency. My observations are, before the amendment, my observation, I requested for a copy of the matter of public urgent hearing from the minority leader, but unfortunately I don't have it yet. But if I'm not mistaken, he is requesting that SONCAP should come to the port so that they can inspect goods before coming in. And my leader from Lagos State, Honorable James Faleke, also said that SONCAP should have agencies across the world to inspect goods before coming to Nigeria. I think we need to decide which one is more visible and which one is more doable. I think before coming in is a bit more visible, because if you are shipping in something from Vietnam, I'm not sure SONCAP has, standard organization has representatives in Vietnam to monitor what's coming to Nigeria. Either or, I think we need to balance which one is more important to us and which one is more visible. And then on my amendment, again, I don't remember the prayers very well, but I remember while listening to it, I would suggest that the use of the word reconsider as opposed to rescind by the federal government should be used, because there are and why the government has made such decision I'm not aware of, we are not aware of, but obviously some things led to the federal government to have made or arrive at such a decision. So we cannot set aside why that decision was made. So we have to also, they have to consider that, and then consider additional reasons being raised by the minority leader before coming to this conclusion. And then on the second prayer again, it also said that the word without further delay.
Sorry, what was your amendment? Myself and Honorable
Chairman
myself
rules.
and the chairman, business and rules are discussing very important issues
That's why
here.
I didn't call his attention.
Please, Honorable Obanikoro, move your amendment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, should I start from the observation or the amendment?
No, amendment, please.
Okay, I'm amending again. In the first prayer of the motion moved by the minority leader, he was asking the federal government to rescind on their decision. And I'm of the opinion that instead of them doing that, they should rather reconsider their decision instead of discarding the last decision that was made. Unfortunately, I can't remember his word for word again because I had it in my head.
So your amendment is that Honorable Elumelu's prayer that the government should rescind its decision be amended for the government to reconsider its decision. Any seconder? Any seconder? Okay, Honorable, yes, Honorable, go ahead. Second the motion.
Honorable Karu Simon, representing Kaltungo Shongom Federal Constituency, seconded.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, shall we move on? Is there any other matter of urgent public importance? Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Tolu Akonde Shadipe, representing Oluyole Federal Constituency. May I be allowed to stand on Order 8, Rule 4, and move a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your matter?
It's a matter of urgent national importance, and it has to do with the diaspora matter that's recently rearing its head. There has been a recent attack on Nigerian traders at Circle Market in Ghana. May I proceed, Mr. Speaker? The House knows. No, sorry.
Any seconder? What was the matter? What was the matter about?
Order 8, Rule 7. Suspension of rules.
No. What was the urgent public importance? What was it about? Just in a nutshell.
With regards to Nigerians in Ghana. Nigerian traders in Ghana.
Okay. Yeah, Honorable Jaha, you want to second the...
Yes, sir. Ahmed Jaha Babaw is my name, and I represent...
Honorable Sapana, approach the chief whip.
I represent Chibok, Dambua, and Goza Federal Constituency. I'm from Borno State. I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable on a matter of urgent public importance with regards to killing of Nigerian traders in attack of Nigerian traders in Ghana. Thank you, sir.
Honorable colleagues, Honorable Akode Shadipe has moved a motion of urgent public importance regarding Nigerians being attacked in Ghana, Nigerian traders, and has been seconded by Honorable Jaha Babao. Those in support of the motion that this is urgent enough, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. I believe Honorable Akode has already moved for suspension, and Honorable Mioji, you want to second? Honorable Babangida, please second the motion for suspension.
All right, Honorable Speakers, my dear colleagues, honorable members, my name is Babangida Alasan Abdallah, representing Dala Federal Constituency. I'm from Kano State, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my sister, honorable member. I so second, sir.
How is she your sister? This is the House of Representatives. She's your colleague, your honorable colleague. Those in support that we suspend our rules to take this matter now, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Shadipe Akonde, please move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House knows that as the Chairperson House Committee on Diaspora, one of my primary duties includes legislative responsibilities and to collaborate with the Nigerian Diaspora Commission and the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to put in place, implement modalities to improve the welfare of Nigerians in diaspora. Recall that a few months ago, I raised my voice on the issue of xenophobia and urged that the federal government create additional airlifting opportunities to evacuate our citizens who are stranded in South Africa. Informed that Sunday, December 1, 2019, over 600 shops belonging to foreign traders, particularly Nigerians, at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Ghana, were locked up by members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Also informed that this is not the first time the quest to rid the Ghanaian market of foreign traders who are engaging in retail businesses has occurred. There was a case last month where Ghanaian traders at Opera Square in Accra locked up shops belonging to foreign nationals involved in retail business. Most of the shops were believed to belong to Nigerians. There was also a case in August last year where the Intergovernmental Task Force constituted by the government of Ghana, in its bid to regulate retail trade, arrested and detained 37 Nigerian traders and locked up about 10 shops in Tiptoe Lane at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle due to the failure of the traders concerned that the recent attack on Nigerian traders would become another xenophobia attack with loss of lives, as Gota had decided to take laws into their hands because, according to them, the government had failed to enforce the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act 2013, 865, Article 27,
Please, silence.
Article 27 and 28, which bars foreigners from doing retail business in Ghana. Further concerned that in 2018, the enforcement of the Quick Notice Initiative commenced, and it was properly communicated by the Ghanaian Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Shirley Ayokoboche, that this GIP law would not affect Nigerians or other ECOWAS citizens. However, the National Association of Nigerian Traders warned the minister that the law could spark xenophobic attacks from ignorant persons, but she assured the union that the Ghanaian government is ensuring that there's an understanding among Ghanaian traders that the Quick Notice Initiative has nothing to do with Nigerians and other ECOWAS traders. and that Nigerians should in no way interpret the issue as a future xenophobia against Nigerian traders. Aware that on December 2, 2019, the Ghanaian police, in a bid to control the mayhem, used firearms and fired shots to control the crowd. Some arrests were made and detainees are currently undergoing further investigations at the police headquarters. Be further aware that according to the president of Nigerian Union of Traders in Ghana, Mr. Chukwuemeka Levi Nanji, mentioned that Nigerian traders were physically attacked on December 2, 2019. The claim is that the Ghana Union of Traders Association used the Ghanaian police force to lock up the shops on the night of December 1, 2019. And when the Nigerian traders realized in the morning of December 2nd that their shops were locked up and decided to break the padlock, the Ghanaian traders were agitated and attacked the Nigerian traders. Concerned that these attacks on Nigerians could be as a result of President Muhammadu Buhari's declaration in August on the closure of all land borders in order to prevent illegal imports into our country, which is a good initiative in the bid to protect the economic sanity of our country, Nigeria. Note that the recent attacks have resulted in several injuries and arrests. However, the Ghanaian officials and police force have called on all traders to call off the forced closure and blockades in streets, believing that any clampdown could cause more havoc and strain the relationship with Nigeria. Resolve 2, mandate the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, alongside the Committee on Diaspora Matters and Committee on Foreign Affairs, to urgently consider and investigate the recent developments among traders in Ghana and act proactively to ensure that another xenophobia attack on Nigerians is prevented. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairman, Foreign Affairs. Do you want to second? It's a Foreign Affairs matter. Do you want to second that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakub. I represent Gombe Home Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I want to support or second this very important motion of urgent public importance moved by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Thank you. Honorable Shadipe, just very briefly, I think it's a straightforward motion. We're all aware of it, so just briefly so that we can move on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we're all aware, we saw what happened in South Africa a few months ago. There has been a lot of news on social media, but you know we cannot rely on this news. So when I got wind of this, I personally spoke to the representative of the Nigerian traders in Ghana. I called him to get a first-hand report. And then I also went further and I spoke to a few people in Ghana who were able to substantiate the information that this is indeed going on, but before it escalates, we needed to take prompt action. There has been some videos also circulating on social media, which again I must reiterate, that we cannot rely on 100%, where we see limbs and heads of human beings.
Silence, please.
Recently,
Honorable Salame, resume your seat. Honorable Aminu Mani, resume your seat.
Recently,
Honorable Manusoro, resume your seat.
Heads, which is a very gory sight, and the understanding is that is going on right now in Togo with regards to response to what was happening in Ghana, and this same attack has been against Nigerians. So I believe we need to, as a House, take very prompt action to ensure that this situation does not further degenerate and expose our Nigerians in the West African axis to further mayhem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, we'll just take a contribution from Honorable Toby.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Toby Okechukwu, and I represent Aneri of River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank our colleague for bringing forth this motion. In our place, they say, Kebidona Ogechide, where Chua,
That's against our rules. Interpretation, please.
Thank you. They say you should pursue the black goat in the evening, in the afternoon, before it gets dark. Because if it gets dark, you will not be able to make any distinction. So what is happening in Ghana? What is happening in Ghana and what happened in South Africa is sufficient notice to Nigerians that something is wrong. Sometimes you begin to question what is wrong with our Africanness. Why can't we be our brothers' keepers? Mr. Speaker, if I'm protected from making my contribution, I will appreciate.
Chief Whip, please keep your house in order.
Resume your seat, please. Who is this? Honorable Chinyere, resume your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was saying that you begin to question what is wrong with our Africanness. We are, by various efforts, by our past leaders, by our leaders in government, through legislatures, the Deputy Speaker was supposed to go for ECOWAS Parliament. We know we have ECOWAS Treaty. We know we have OAU, where we are encouraging Africans to be together. But each and every day, each and every season, you find Africans being against one another. And this is not because people are doing anything illegal. It's because they are pursuing their legitimate ways of earning money in other countries. And I have not heard that here in Nigeria, at any point, that we have attacked any African. We open our doors. As a matter of fact, the executive and the legislature have also tried by all means to make business a lot easier for African brothers. As our last count, we signed a treaty that will make it possible for Africans to operate their businesses without any let or hindrance. There was some reluctance to do so by Nigeria, but at the end of the day, we signed. And look at what we are harvesting. When Nigerians go to practice or do their trade in any other African country, they become boots of attack. I don't know why that should happen. Other Africans are welcome here to canvass their trade. And their legitimate means to make sure anybody who is doing anything illegal is not allowed. But the discomfort we have, as we experienced in South Africa and currently in Ghana, is that law enforcement agents are being used. Law enforcement agents are being used against Nigerians. There are legal ways. Nations are ruled by rule of law and not by rule of men. There are legitimate ways if any Nigerian offends any law in Ghana or any trade practice, they can be interrogated and actions can be taken against them. But for anybody to go against the law and begin to attack Nigerians, we should not allow it, Mr. Speaker. I will also ask the Deputy Speaker, as he is going to represent us and is going for ECOWAS parliamentary session that is taking place now, it is important that he carries the weight of this parliament, our discomfort, our expression of dismay with regard to what is happening in Ghana. We should not allow it. Now, Ghana is just about 45 minutes from here by air. So why should we be against one another? I thought we have learned sufficient lessons from what happened in South Africa, Mr. Speaker. It's too close. It's too close for us to have that level of discomfort. It should not be allowed for any African, talk less of a neighbor. And we have a good number of Ghanaians here. They have never heard. Mr. Speaker, I got a letter from my constituents with regard to the attack. 2 Nigerians who were trading, they were living together in a rented apartment. And they had an issue with their landlady. The next thing is that they called the police, and the police came, had to jump the fence, and 2 of them were shot. And I had to go to the Diaspora Committee and the Diaspora Commission. They are currently investigating that matter. And this is what comes and meets Nigerians who are in various African countries. Even when you go to Europe or America, you don't have this kind of thing happen to you. Talk less of our African brothers. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe strongly that the motion should be supported, and this kind of practice should not be encouraged in any African country whatsoever, because right here in Nigeria, we don't do it. Thank you very much.
We'll take the last contribution from the seconder of the motion, Honorable Jahab, please.
Thank you. Are you the seconder? Okay. I am the seconder.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ameja Hababa is my name, and I represent Chibok, Dambua, and Goza Federal Constituency. I'm from Borno State. Mr. Speaker, I am beginning to think that something is going to happen to Nigerians, particularly because of our decision to close our borders. Sir, in Nigeria, we are not stupid. We know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. By blocking these borders, it may in one way or the other affect particularly our neighboring countries, whether we like it or not. And maybe this is an attempt to transfer the aggression of Nigeria's decision to close border on our indigents that are working in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world, legitimately. Mr. Speaker, we are aware some neighboring countries to Nigeria signing agreement with other advanced countries of the world for the importation of a product that is beyond their ability to consume. Let me give you an example. There is a country that has an agreement with another advanced country of the world to import rice. We all aware that this rice is targeted towards Nigeria. So that particular country will not be happy simply because we close our border to protect our economy, to encourage our farmers, to consolidate on our existing capacity. Then as a result of this, they may transfer aggression. So there is a need for this House to raise up to the reality by establishing a very strong committee, particularly the Foreign Affairs Committee, to engage these countries. Sir, secondly, I want to commend the mover of this motion. It happened in South Africa the other time. We remain mute. We thought we are giant of Africa. We should behave as elders by approaching the matter diplomatically. Sir, sometimes people can take advantage of your leniency. It's just like what they are saying now all over the House. You are the most lenient speaker all over the history of this chamber. So people take advantage of your leniency. Before you go to sit down, you spend time greeting members disturbing you from your house down here. So the truth of the matter is that sometimes countries can take advantage of our leniency, thinking we are giant of Africa, we have every reason to protect them, then they will keep on transferring aggression to our citizens in their countries. So, sir, we need to look at this thing. Today is Ghana. Tomorrow may be Benin Republic. The following day may be Togo. Anything can happen. So this is my position, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Ahmed Jaha thinks you are taking advantage of my leniency. And that point is well noted. Thank you, Honorable Jaha. Honorable Henry, last speaker. I know Honorable Jaha was supposed to be the last speaker, but we'll take Honorable Henry and then we'll move on. I'm not going to be lenient on this one.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your leniency. I remain Honorable Henry Nwauba, and I speak eloquently for the good people of Mbitoli Keduru Federal Constituency from Imo State. My dear colleagues, who remembers the issue of xenophobia? Who remembers in the 8th Assembly when the Right Honorable Speaker led a team to South Africa on this very issue of intolerance? My dear colleagues, it is insanity to do the same thing over and over again, and yet we hope to get a different result. It will not happen. This issue speaks to xenophobia. We need to call a spade a spade. And the problem and the fear is that the intolerance seems to be spreading. Mr. Speaker, you are aware of the recent efforts we have made to keep this issue on the front burner. As a country, we cannot afford to continually remain a sitting duck where we react to issues that border on the lives and security of our people, be it internally or outside the shores of this country. That is what we keep doing over and over again, and we think and hope that things will improve. They will not improve. Serious countries that take the issue of serious protection of life and property set up commissions. They set up bodies. They set up agencies. In the West, we have NATO. What does NATO do? NATO looks at security issues and protection issues. We are legislators, and I propose that we keep looking for legislative solutions. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this country needs to set up a body that would be pan-African and will continually look at the issues of intolerance and cohabitation, be it within the country or outside. This is my proposal. I so submit. Thank you.
Honorable, sorry, what's your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very beautiful motion. And I also want to thank my sister for this motion. The question is, what we intend to go and address is the instrument of the protocol of ECOWAS. Because ECOWAS protocols talks about, ease of doing business across ECOWAS country. And we cannot discuss that without a proper committee that deals with such instruments on protocols, agreements, and treaties, which are part of the treaties signed. So my amendment is simple, that the Committee on Treaties, Diaspora, and Foreign Affairs should embark on this investigation to unravel what is the cause of the issues. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Honorable Kiruka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiruka Onye Josh. I represent the good people of Isubuatu Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. I rise to second the amendment as moved by Nicholas Osai, Honorable. I so second. Bishop.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, last week we talked about, we resolved to, moving forward, that members would be able to go on their tea or coffee break from 1 to 1:15 so that members can go to the mosque 15-minute break, go to the mosque, stretch their legs, have their coffee break. But I think at this point, we only have roughly about a week to go before we close for the year. So I believe we will do this, we'll push it forward. When we resume next year, we can start this, we can start off with this. And besides, I think there will be a need to actually amend our rules because there are other provisions in the rules that may contradict that. More importantly, like Honorable Toby just observed, the tea is not ready. Yes, sir. It's coming from China. It will take a while. Honorable colleagues, we're going to Honorable colleagues, before we move on, we're going to push the laying of the budget on the order paper up before we consider other matters today. So we will, the next business of the day will be the presentation of report of the Committee on Appropriations on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, the total sum of 10,594,364,830 naira only, of which 560,470,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfers, 2,725,498,930,000 naira only is for debt service, 4,842,974,600,000 640 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 2,465,418,600,955 naira only is for contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2020. Standing in the name of Honorable Mukhtar Betara. Honorable members will recall that the matter was referred to the committee on Thursday, October 10, 2019. The report is ready for presentation. Honorable Betara is invited to present the report.
Right Honorable Speaker, right Honorable colleagues, my name is Mukhtar Betara Liu. I represent the good people of Biu, Bayo, Kwekusarsani. I'm from Borno State. Right Honorable Speaker, right Honorable colleagues, that this House do receive report on Committee on Appropriation on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation with a total sum of 10,592,364,830 naira only, of which 564,460,827,235 naira only is for statutory transfer. 2,728,498,930,000 naira only is for debt services. 4,842,960,000 64,600,640 naira only is for recurrent debt expenditure, while the sum of 2,465,418,006,955 naira only is for contribution to the development fund for the capital expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2020. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any seconder? Okay, in the joint task spirit and across party lines, Honorable Chuchu Onyema will second the motion.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues, I'm Chukwuka Onyema. I represent Obaru Federal Constituency of Anambra State. By the instruction of the Speaker, I rise to second the motion, ably moved by, you said we don't have brothers here, so by my honorable colleague, but a brother too, Honorable Mukhtar Veteran. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
God bless the Ninth Assembly. Those in support of the motion, say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Veteran, lay the report, please. Honorable members, the business of the day is presentation of 19 bills. I now invite the clerk to read their short title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Companies and Allied Matters Bill 2019, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2019, first reading. Kidnapping and hostage taking prohibition Bill 2019, first reading. Federal University of Agriculture and Entrepreneurship, Saki, Oyo State, Establishment Bill 2019, first reading. Electoral Offences Tribunal Establishment Bill 2019, first reading. Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. National Universities Commission Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Dental Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Child Rights Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, Alteration Bill 2019, first reading. Federal College of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Taomon, Delta State, Establishment Bill 2019, first reading. Service Compound Management Agency Bill 2019, first reading. Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Employees Compensation Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading. Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria Bill 2019, first reading. Pension Reform Act Amendment Bill 2019, first reading.
The first order of the day is commencement of a debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Agriculture in Jigawa State, to provide for full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in agriculture, and carry out its due administration and management, and for related matters, stand in the name of Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 10th October 2019, and I invite Honorable Fulata to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Berniwa, Krika Samba, Gudi Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State.
Mr. Speaker, I move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Agriculture, Kasama, Jigawa State, and to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in agriculture, and carry out its due administration and management, and for related matters, HB 382, be read the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder, please? Honorable second.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Usman Ibrahim Awiyo. I represent Awiyo Hadeja Kapang Hosa Federal Constituency. I am from Jigawa State. I rise to second the motion of my colleagues or my teacher, Honorable Plata. I so second.
Thank you, Honorable. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Fulata, this lead debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, this bill seeks to establish
Kubu, your time is off.
an institution
Honorable Yakubu, your time is off. Other members are waiting to see the speaker.
will bridge the gap between agricultural practice of production and science. Part of the problem of Nigerian agriculture is the lack of proper application of science in our agricultural production. Jigawa State is one of the states that are largely into agricultural production. And therefore, when this college is established, the college will have departments, institutes. It will provide extramural departments and other teaching and research units within the college as may from time to time seem necessary or desirable, subject to the approval of the National Board for Technical Education. The school will institute chief lecturerships, readerships, associate chief lecturerships, and other posts and offices, and to provide appointments thereto. And award fellowships, scholarships, exhibitions, bursaries, medals, prizes, and other titles, distinctions, awards, and forms of assistance. The institution will also provide for the residents, discipline, and welfare of members of the college, and hold public lectures and undertake printing, publishing, and book selling. It will also hold examinations and award degrees, diplomas, certificates, and other distinctions to persons who have pursued a course of study approved by the college and have satisfied such requirements as the college may lay down, and also award honorary degrees, fellowships, and academic titles. Demand and receive from any student or other persons attending this college for the purpose of instruction such fees as the college may from time to time determine, subject to the overall directives of the appropriate authority. Accept gifts, legacies, and donations, but without obligations to accept them for particular purpose unless it approves the terms and conditions attaching thereto. Erect, provide, equip, and maintain libraries, laboratories, lecture halls, halls of residence, refectories, sports grounds, playing fields, and other buildings and things necessary, suitable, or convenient for any of the subjects of the college. Make gifts for any other charitable purpose, and do all such acts, whether or not incidental to the foregoing powers as may be as may advance the subject of the college. With that, excellent Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I urge you to support this bill. I so submit. Thank you.
I think it's straightforward. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill. PT problem.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Agriculture in Kasama, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in agriculture, and carry out its due administration and management of related matters. Second reading.
Okay, the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education. Second order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education in Jigawa State to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 10th October 2019. I now invite Honorable Fulata to move that the bill be read a second time. Honorable Fulata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Breniwa, Krika Samba, Budi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, I would like to apply to step down the second reading of this bill until further notice. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Clerk, you are disturbing me, please. But I step down. The third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the National Blood Service Commission to coordinate, regulate, and ensure the provision of quality blood and blood products, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 18th July 2019, and now invite Honorable Tajuddin to move that the bill be read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Tajuddin is not on the floor. I apply that the bill be stepped down by the leader of this House. I so move, sir.
Honorable colleagues, the fourth order of the day is commencement of a debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Kiana, Nasarawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and to provide for the appointment of provosts and other officers of the college to carry out the administration and discipline of students in the college, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata. Honorable Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 14 November 2019. I now invite Honorable Nalaraba to move that the bill be read a second time. Honorable Nalaraba.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba, representing the good people of Awido Makana Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Nasarawa State. Mr. Speaker, rise to move a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Kiana, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training in applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities, management, and to provide for the appointment of the provost and other officers of the college to carry out the administration and discipline of students of the college, and for related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder, please? Honorable, please second.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Kiana, as moved or as presented by my honorable colleague, Honorable Abubakar Nalaraba. I so second.
Motion moved by motion moved by Honorable Naraba, seconded by Honorable Jimo Olaifa. Those who support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Naraba.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba, member representing the good people of Awedo Makiana Federal Constituency and from Nasarawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, permit me to lead a debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Kiana, to address the current imbalance in the establishment of Federal College of Education in the state and to establish a tertiary education institution in Awedo Makiana Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State. Objectives of the bill, Mr. Speaker. 1 is to establish a Federal College of Education in Kiana, Nasarawa State, for even distribution of Federal College of Education in the state. 2, to bridge the gap of non-existence tertiary institution in Awedo Makiana Federal Constituency. 3, to tackle the educational need of the growing population of Nasarawa State. 4, to create a favorable atmosphere for educational development in the constituency and some neighboring states. 5, to produce individuals with the knowledge, skills, and attitude which would enable them to the growth and development of their communities in particular and the nation in general. Background. It is no need to wonder that education is a crucial sector in any nation. Being a major investment in human capital development, it plays a critical role in long-term productivity and growth at both micro and macro levels. It is largely perceived as an indispensable tool which will not only assist in meeting the nation's social, political, moral, cultural, and economic aspirations, but will also inculcate the citizenry knowledge, skills, dexterity, character, and desirable values that will foster national development and self-actualization. It goes a long way to say that without education, Mr. Speaker, the nation cannot get the needed manpower for material advancement and enlightenment of its citizenry. While the federal government must be commended for its effort towards enhancing the educational sector, it is important to heed to the concern of the good people of Awedo Makiana, Federal Constituency, Nasarawa State, in the relation of tertiary education under development. Nasarawa State comprises of 5 federal constituencies, and all tertiary institutions are concentrated in other constituencies, leaving only Awedoma and Kiana. It should also be noted that Nasarawa State has no existing Federal College of Education, and the importance of federal-owned College of Education in any state cannot be overemphasized. Given the population census report as at 2006, Nasarawa State population was at 1,869,377, with Awedoma Kiana stood at 333,875. And the number has increased over the years, Mr. Speaker. However, despite its dense and growing population and apparently having more educational potentials, the federal constituency has no single tertiary institution, and Nasarawa State has no established Federal College of Education. Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, the constituents are in dire need of a tertiary institution to fill the huge literacy gap and address the concern of those whose future is bleak by establishing a tertiary institution that guarantees continuity of youth education and the constituency and the neighboring states of Taraba, Plateau, and Benue states, which share a common boundary with the constituency, Awedoma and Kiana. This bill therefore seeks to address these concerns. Conclusion. This bill, once established, will not only bridge the gap in the non-existence of tertiary institutions in federal constituency, but also provide for the Federal College of Education in Nasarawa State and enhance educational development in the constituency, the state and neighboring states in the country. I humbly urge my colleagues to support the bill to be read a second time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, honorable colleagues. I so move.
Okay, any seconder? Oh, we've already passed that stage. That was the lead debate. Okay, all right, that was the lead debate. All right, honorable members, the question is that the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Kiana, Nasarawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and to provide for appointment of the provost and other officers of the college to carry out the administration and discipline of students of the college, and for later matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education. Fifth order of the day is a motion on rehabilitation and dualization of the Itaoshin Ilaro, Owode, Yewa, Ikoga Road in Ogun West and Central Senatorial District of Ogun State, standing in the name of Honorable Kolawole Lawal. Honorable Lawal is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I remain Rep. Kolawole Lawal, MP, representing Egbado South, Ikokia Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Ogun State. I rise to move a motion on rehabilitation and dualization of Itaoshin, Ilaro, Owode Yewa, Ikoga Road in Ogun West and Central Senatorial Districts of Ogun State. This House knows that the 101-kilometer Itaoshin, Jogaorile, Imasha Iboro, Ibeshe, Ilaro, Owode, Adodo, and Ikoga Federal Constituency, a federal road connects towns in Ogun West Central District to the capital city, Abeokuta, and then links to Lagos State from where it connects to the Republic of Benin through Badagry. This House also notes that the road is invaluable in transportation of goods and services across Nigeria, thereby boosting revenue generation. This House is aware that the leading cement manufacturing factory in Africa, Dangote Cement Ibeshe, is located along the same road, which is a single carriageway with no separation between vehicles in opposite directions. So it's cognizant that roads are considered key prerequisites for social and economic development of any country, and they are arteries through which the economy proceeds by linking producers to markets, workers to jobs, students to schools, and the sick to hospitals. There is concern that considering the economic activities that are carried on along its stretch, this road is too narrow and thus slows down activities, leaving commuters frustrated over their inability to get to their destinations on time, and also poses great risk as accidents frequently occur on the road. It has observed that since the construction of the road, palliative maintenance has scarcely been carried out on the road, thus leaving it in a deplorable state, hindering both human and vehicular movements and declining revenue generation. In fact, Ilaro Wodewa is on this stretch.
Ilaro Road has been a road that was awarded last year by the government of the state, but has been abandoned by now. We are praying that this is done again. It has conclusion that the realization of this road will greatly improve the nation's economy as well as enhance the lives of people living in the area. It has then resolved to urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to, as a matter of urgency, commence rehabilitation of a township, Ilaro Wode, Koga Road, in the West and Central Districts of Ogun State. It has also resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to make provision in the 2020 intervention estimates for the realization of the township, Ilaro Wode, Koga Road, in the West and Central Districts of Ogun State. Finally, we have mandates the Committee on Works and Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder, please? Honorable, please second.
Approach the Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Okwudele Christopher Ezawankwo. I represent the good people of Olumba North and South Federal Constituency, Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion heavily moved by my colleague, Honorable Lawan. I so second.
Fine. Okay, I believe this is an infrastructural motion, so we'll just put a question. Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Sixth order of the day is a motion on need to expedite the construction of Gulka Dam in Yade local government area of Bauchi. Standing name of Honorable Kani Abibakar Fago. Honorable Fago is invited to move the motion.
The Honorable Speaker, sir, my honorable colleagues, good afternoon. I remain Honorable Kani Abubakar Fago, member representing the good people of Shira and Giade Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, sir, my honorable colleagues, I rise to move an important motion on the need to expedite the construction of Gulka Dam in Giade local government area of Bauchi State. The House, note that water is an important component of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, and is also a vital developmental tools for any nation. Also note that meeting the basic need of water has been a long-standing challenge in sub-Saharan African countries. As according to reports, water is the second most sought item after education on the developmental agenda of the citizenry. Aware that the idea for construction of Gulka Dam was conceived in 1978 to harness the water resource of Bauchi State in order to improve agricultural production through the use of irrigation and also provide potable water for the people. But the project has since been abandoned. Also aware that the dam was projected to irrigate several hectares of arable land to support the agricultural production across Bauchi State and the neighboring Jigawa state, as Bulka Dam lies at a boundary between the two states. Appreciate that the project has huge revenue generation potentials, as it would provide direct employment for at least 10,000 youth in farming and make provision for the development of at least 2,000 tons of fisheries annually, provide recreation as well as attracting tourism to Bauchi State. Cognizant that with a proposed storage capacity of 56 million cubic meters, Bulka Dam will conveniently serve multiple purposes, as it will enhance the developmental potential of Northeast region in terms of increased agricultural output and improvement in water supply. Resolved to urge the Federal Ministries of Water Resources, Works and Housing to expedite action on the construction of Bulka Dam, and to mandate the committees on water resources and works to ensure implementation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I so move.
Any seconder, please. Honorable Chawai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Mukhtar Zakar Chawai, member representing Kauru Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Kenny. I so second.
Okay, this is another infrastructure motion. I'll just put the question. Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Seventh order of the day is a motion on the urgent need to conduct national population census in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Ademori Kuye. Honorable Kuye is invited to move the motion. Rise.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name remains Ademori Aliukuye. I represent the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituency. I am from Lagos State. I rise this afternoon to move a motion calling on the federal government on the need to commence the long overdue national population census in Nigeria. This House should note that the holding of a population census is an important national assignment because its figures are critical for national planning. And it is for this reason, and among others, that most countries of the world carry out this exercise once every 10 years. Also note that without a census, an accurate data of the number of people in a given country, no government can provide adequately for its citizens, as government requires data to know the number of children being born, the number of schools and hospitals that will be needed, how many workers are in a given town, and how many foreigners are in the country for proper provision of infrastructural facilities. Further note that most times Nigeria's population is predicated on projected figures provided by foreign organizations like the United Nations, thus making planning extremely difficult in the absence of a population census, which the National Population Commission will have been ready to conduct every 10 years, as is obtainable in other countries. But it is now left to the whims and caprices of the government. Recalls that since the first census, which was held in Lagos in 1866, there had been a trend towards a better planned and more reliable census exercises. As a subsequent census exercises took place in 1869, 1871, 1881, 1891, 1911, but were limited to Lagos and its environs and some parts of the Southern Protectorate. Aware that the 1952-1953 census was the first modern, national, and carefully planned census. However, its outcome was not generally accepted as it was not conducted simultaneously throughout the country. Also aware that other population census took place at various times between 1953, 1962, 63, and 1973 were well planned. Concerned that the last national census was conducted in 2006, and until it becomes mandatory to conduct census at given intervals like elections, Nigeria will continue to have delays in organizing national census. Further aware of the extreme importance of conducting another census to ascertain the country's actual population in order to do away with projected figures, a development that will enable the government to plan better for the citizens. Worried that if adequate measures are not put in place, where population census is conducted periodically at least once every 10 years, Nigeria will be lacking in statistical data of its citizenry, either politically or economically. Again, note that in 2016, the World Bank estimated Nigeria's population at 186 million. The United Nations also in 2017 put Nigeria's population at 180 million with a growth rate of 2.7%. And prior to that, in 2016, the former Director General of National Population Commission, Alhaji Gali Bello, had estimated Nigeria's population to be 182 with a growth rate of 3.5%. Also recalls that the National Assembly, that is the 8th Assembly, had in 2018 called for the postponement of the proposed 2018 population census on the ground that such an exercise, coming on the eve of the 2019 general election, could end in chaos. Acknowledges that Nigeria has a dynamic economy and a large population which is expected to double in the next 2 decades. And census is a pivotal and necessary tool for the growth of any emerging society, which in turn informs decision-making at all facets of public and private sectors. Cognizant that the lack of accurate data on the population of Nigeria has been affecting national planning and development at all levels. Resolve to urge the National Population Commission to come up with a feasible timetable for the conduct of the national census not later than year 2020. Also urge the federal government to provide necessary logistics for the conduct of a national census in 2020 as a way of ending the uncertainties surrounding Nigeria's actual population, and to set up a committee to liaise with the National Population Commission, the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and Planning, and National Bureau of Statistics to work out modalities on how to conduct a census in 2020, and also liaise with other foreign donors such as UNFPA, EU, USAID, UNESCO, AU for necessary support for the exercise. I so move.
Any seconder, please? Honorable Shina Pella. No, actually, Honorable Pella, you contribute to the debate. Let Honorable Alabi second the. Who debated the motion? No, he moved the. Okay, you are just saying that he has the motion. The motion itself was exhaustive, but it has to be seconded. Honorable Alabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Akin Alabi. I represent the good people of Egbeda Onara Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Kuye. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. I so second. Thank you.
Honorable Shina Pella had a request to contribute. Quickly, Honorable Pella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Shina Pella. I represent the people of Iseyin, Tesiwaju, Kajola, Iwajowa Federal Constituency. I am from Oyo State. I stand as a voice of the common man at the Federal House of Representatives. First of all, I would like to commend the mover of this motion, my honorable colleague and big brother, Honorable Kuye, for pointing the attention of this House to a very, very important factor in the development of our country. As they say that a country that fails to plan definitely plans to fail. I want to call the attention of this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, to the importance of data in bringing solutions to our problem. Most of all the figures that we have for the population of Nigeria within the past few years has been estimated figures, which is not good for us as a nation. Foremost, we know that a periodic and regular census is very, very important for us to be able to bring solutions to our problem. And I want to say, if as a country, the last time that we had a population census was in 2006. So it means that as at today, any citizen of Nigeria that is below the age of 13 does not have any record. And I don't know how, as a nation, how we want to plan for our citizens if we don't know the number of them. For example, we come to this chamber every day to sit down for the business of every day. But coming in, we sit down without going through any discomfort, nobody sweating. I'm sure that when they were building this place, the builders of this place must have put into consideration the number of people that will be seated here. So if you have a country that is the giant of Africa, I believe that we are doing ourselves a very, very huge mistake if we don't have an accurate population. So I'm using this opportunity to show my support on this motion and to call the attention of the House, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, to the urgent need for us to carry out the census, which will determine our actual population for the country. This is my submission, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just put this question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the eighth order of the day is a motion on extension of agricultural support service to Malan Maduri Kagama Federal Constituency of Jigawa, standing in the name of Honorable Abubakar Maki Yeleman. Honorable Yeleman is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I remain Abubakar Maki Yeleman. I represent Malam Modori Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Jigawa State. I stand this afternoon to move the motion that an urgent call on the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to extend the reach to Malam Modori Kaugama Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any second to Honorable Yeleman's motion?
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Lado. Sorry, yes.
Sorry, my name is Mohamed Tahir Manguno. I represent Martin Manguno, Gaza Federal Constituency of Borno State. He has not moved the motion. He only read the title of the motion. So let him move his motion, the complete.
Okay.
Okay, Honorable Yeleman, you just read the title. Okay, move the whole body of the motion.
The House notes that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is saddled with the responsibility of growing Nigeria's agricultural sector and integrating rural development for the transformation of the economic and accelerating food production. The House also notes that the Ministry equally has the mandate to promote agricultural businesses, encourage rural development, support private sector institutions and stakeholders to assure food security, provide raw materials for agro-based industries, diversified employment opportunities and agricultural products along commodity value chain and generate foreign exchange for the nation. Concerned that the Malamodori Kaugama Federal Constituency as a purely agricultural-based enclave has consistently been denied the benefit of enjoying the supply of agricultural materials, that is to improve the quality, seedings, adequate fertilizer, pesticide, periodic and consistent education and enlightenment. Worried that the plant season is underway and so many constituencies have benefited immensely and severally from the ministry except Malamodori Kaugama Federal Constituency, as evidence in this year flag up of the commencement of the distribution of high-yielded cotton seed and other farming inputs like fertilizer and pesticide to over 100,000 cotton farmers in Katsina State was reported on the ministry's website on the 6th May 2019. Conscious of the fact that the policy thrust of this ministry has not sufficiently touched the lives of the good farmers and people of Malamodori Kaugama Federal Constituency, it is time, and this is the opportunity for the ministry to extend her good work and program for the benefit of the good farmers in the constituency now that the farming season is ongoing. Resolved, urge the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development as a matter of urgency to provide periodic training program and also supply adequate agricultural materials that can meet the agricultural need of the large number of farmers in Malamodori Kaugama Federal Constituency in Jigawa State. 2. Mandate the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to ensure implementation. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Lado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. Abubakar Lado Suleja is my name, and I'm representing Suleja Gura Rakapa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the Power State, Niger. I rise to support and also to second the motion as moved by my honorable colleague. I so second. Thank you.
Okay, infrastructure related. Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Before we go on, let me read this real quick. The Conference Committee on a Bill for an Act to amend the Companies Income Tax Act, the Finance Bill that we just passed. This is the list of members that will form the Conference Committee with the Senate. Honorable James Faleke, Honorable Dozier Mwako, Honorable John Jay, Honorable Usman Zana, Honorable Afolabi Rashid, and Honorable Saidu Abdullahi. The ninth order of the day is a motion on need to establish more roadside clinics and improve facilities in the existing roadside clinics, standing in the name of Honorable Akinola Adekunle Alabi. Honorable Alabi is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Honorable Akin Alabi. I represent the good people of Egbeda Onara Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion on the need to establish more roadside clinics and improve facilities in the existing roadside clinics in Nigeria. The House notes that road transportation is the most common mode of transportation in Nigeria, and statistics by the World Health Organization shows that nearly 3,500 people die every day as a result of road traffic accidents worldwide, with the most affected victims listed as young people within the ages of 5 and 29 years. Also notes that the National Bureau of Statistics recorded 1,538 deaths from road accidents in the fourth quarter of 2018 alone, which always results in huge economic cost to the nation and weighs a great deal on the health system, not to mention the negative emotional and social implications the affected families go through. Cognizant that the government is constitutionally bound to protect lives and properties of its citizens by providing for their security and welfare, and Section 10(3)(q) of the Federal Road Safety Commission Establishment Act empowers the Federal Road Safety Commission to provide roadside and mobile clinics for the treatment of accident victims free of charge. Also cognizant that there are only 47 roadside and mobile clinics across Nigeria, out of which 18 are furnished and functional. 15 are furnished but non-functional, while the remaining 14 are neither furnished nor functional. Concerned about the prediction by the World Bank that without a sustained action to stem the rate of accidents on the nation's highways, road crashes will become the 7th leading cause of death by 2030. Also concerned that while most efforts have been geared towards providing enlightenment on safety tips, including the use of seatbelts, speed reduction, non-consumption of alcohol, construction and rehabilitation of roads, there's still a need to broaden efforts and explore all options in approaching this vexed issue. Regrets that the available roadside clinics are grossly insufficient to cater for the medical needs of accident victims, and the functional ones are poorly managed. Hence, people continue to die on the highways for want of immediate medical action. Resolve to 1, urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to intensify efforts towards the provision of safely engineered roads. And 2, mandate the Committee on Federal Road Safety Commission to interface with the Federal Road Safety Commission to ascertain the current infrastructural, equipment, and manpower status of roadside and mobile clinics, and recommend measures to be taken to make them functional to cater for victims of road accidents, and report back within 8 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Any seconder, please. Honorable Ifeanyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Ifeanyi Chudi Moma. I represent the people of Ihiala, Federal Constituency. I am from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion moved by my honorable colleague, Honorable Akin Alabi. I so second.
It's an infrastructure-related motion, so I'll put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. 10th order of the day is a motion on holistic review of all agreements between oil companies in Nigeria and the host communities, standing in the name of Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. Honorable Osai is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. The House notes that the execution of agreements between oil companies in Nigeria and their host community is a form of corporate social responsibility. Also note, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, that such strategic business management and corporate governance initiative is designed to balance responsibility of stakeholders at all levels and produce greater impact on a wide number of people. Also observe, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, that most of the agreements are either partially implemented or completely not implemented by the oil company, resulting in untold hardships on the host communities in Nigeria. Worried, Mr. Speaker, that the continued breach of such agreements and underperformance by oil companies has built up disaffection, restiveness, and tension in the oil-producing community in Nigeria. And cognizant, Mr. Speaker, that a holistic review of all agreements executed and entered into by oil companies with their host communities will resolve all problems and provide a lasting solution to the poor implementation of agreements by oil companies. Resolve, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, to mandate the Committee on Agreements and Petroleum Upstream to review all the agreements and memoranda of understanding between the oil companies and the host community in order to protect the interests of host community and report back to the House within 8 weeks for further legislative action. I move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kuye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Ademori Aliu Kuyes. I represent the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituency. I am from Lagos State. I rise to second this timely and humane motion, ably moved by my friend, Honorable Osai. I so second, sir.
Those in support of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please. Sorry?
Honorable Prestige Osi.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Motion is referred to the Committee on Agreements. Agreement on upstream. No debate. The title speaks for itself. 11th order of the day is a motion on need for commercial banks to stop casualization of staff, standing in the name of Honorable Yunusa Akintola. Honorable Akintola is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, my name is Honorable Yunusa Akintola. I represent good people of Aidre, Iwo Federal Constituency. I'm from Osun State. Mr. Speaker, I rise on the motion for the need for commercial banks to stop cancellation of staff. The House notes that prior to the emergency of new generation banks in Nigeria, staff of banks were usually full-time workers and entitled to a series of benefits from the banks that they work for, including promotions, health packages, productivities, life insurance policies, housing allowances, wardrobe allowances, food allowances, etc., which made banking jobs enviable works for all and sundry in the country. Also note that with the advent of new generation banks in the country, so many things changed in the banking industry. But despite all the challenges being faced by the new generation banks, the financial sector still remains one of the most viable sectors of Nigerian economy, with each of the banks having a minimum of 25 billion naira only as its capital base. Aware that in 2017, Guarantee Trust Banks declared a profit before tax of 186 billion naira only, followed by Senate Bank PLC, which in the same financial year declared a profit before tax of 173 billion naira only. While Access Bank PSC came third with a profit of 80 billion naira. And by the end of that year, all the banks in Nigeria had declared jumbo profits, a situation that was repeated in 2018 when the banks made huge profits. Also aware that commission and charges that banks had raised as September 30, 2019, were over 700 billion naira, without considering money generated from loans, advances, and other portfolio investment of the banks, evidencing the lucrative natures of the banking business. Concern that despite the huge profits being made by commercial banks, they still casualize most of their core operational staff, as 90% of bank workers are casual staff, a development that is an act of exploitation of the unemployed youths. Also concerned that core operations of banks like tailoring, customer services, relationship management, marketing, business development, internal control, etc., are being handled by contract staff who are not entitled to promotion, healthcare services, utility allowances, productivity, etc., thus making them to be virtually slaves within the banking sector. As 6 months ago, EcoBank laid off over 1,000 casual staff. Cognizant that the practice of casualization of staff is causing a rise in fraud rate perpetrated by staff, and also psychological trauma among those sets of staff, to the extent that a contract staff committed suicide in 2010 when he was retrenched by Wema Bank without any compensation. And in another incident a few days ago, during the robbery attack in Ekiti State on Thursday, November 21, 2019, the police explained how the CCTV footage exposed a bank staff involved in the robbery operation. Convinced, Mr. Speaker, that if the casual staff handling core operation of banks are converted to permanent staff, better service will be rendered, delivered by customers, and the rate of fraud in the bank industry will reduce drastically. Resolve, Mr. Speaker, call on commercial banks to convert their casual staff who are handling core operation to permanent staff without further delay, and also urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to sanction any bank that fails to comply. Mandate the Committee on Banking and Currency to interface with commercial banks on the need to stop casualization of their core operational staff. Also mandate Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. I shall move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, any Honorable Ephraim? Honorable Akitola, please lead the debate.
Mr. Speaker, before the advent of New Generation Bank, prior to that period, we are aware that bank staffs used to be full-time workers of the banks. And they are entitled to a series of benefits, such as promotion, accommodation, healthcare services, life insurance, and so on and so forth. Until the advent of New Generation Bank, there's so many things changed drastically in the system, the banking industry. I've realized a lot of challenges. The New Generation Bank and financial sector still remain the most viable sector of the Nigerian economy. That's expected with what they are generating in terms of profits. The act of capitalization of their staff is an act of exploitation of the unemployed youths. And this, as a result, we expected our staff, the casual staff of the banks industry to be given an opportunity for permanent staff. And most of the commercial banks are looking into the numbers as a present. More than 90% of the staffs are casual staff. And we expected, at least at this junction with the saturation in the labor market, we expected those in the banks to be permanently appointed by the commercial banks within the country. So, with the situation in the country, we don't expect the labor market that has already been saturated to increase the burden with the involvement and the actions of most of the banks we have presently. They are laying off all their staffs, increasing the labor, increasing the tension in the labor market. This is the essence of this particular motion. I want to appeal to the colleagues to give necessary support so that this motion is still true. So, Mr. Speaker, this is my humble submission as far as this motion is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Bandi. You want to contribute just 30 seconds, quickly.
Honorable colleagues, my name is Dr. Richard Bandi. I represent the people of Kasinala, Okun, Logo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, Labor Act prohibits casualization of staff. Mr. Speaker, good governance entails poverty reduction, job creation, national development, transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak in favor of the motion which says there should be no casualization by commercial banks in our country. I believe we are living witnesses to what is happening in our country. Insecurity, poverty, hunger, starvation. Even the blinds, we know that Nigerians are hungry. And I believe if this is done and the employees are given permanent and pensionable employment, it will add value to our socio-economic well-being in this country. Because I know and I believe they have families. And with our system of extended family in this country, it would go a long way in ensuring food and security on the table of Nigerians. On that note, I second and speak in favor of the motion. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in support, please say aye. Amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Ludigo Dinedulu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimili Federal Constituency from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, my amendment is to the effect that we should delete the whole 3 recommendations and insert this amendment. Mandate the relevant committees to investigate the casualization of staff in banks who are handling core operations and report back to the House within 6 weeks. The reason for this is that we cannot sit down and force banks to officially convert casualization to permanent.
because we do not know their purse. These things, it may even lead in them sacking those casual staff. And that will not be in our own interest as people that are true representatives of the people. So let's allow the Committee of Banking and Currency to investigate this matter and report back to House instead of us asking CBN to sanction commercial banks for casualizing. Some of them are even coppers who are just serving in those commercial banks, and they are involved in day-to-day activities in the banks. So my amendment is that we should delete it 1, 2, 3 and insert that our committee should investigate the casualization of staff in commercial banks. I'll report back to the House.
Honorable Wako, on to second the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Ferdinand Ozienwanko, and I represent the good people of Njikoka and North Chattanooga Federal Constituency. I am from Anambra State. I rise to second the amendment moved by the Deputy Minority Leader, by Minority Leader of the House. I so second.
Those in support of the amendment moved by the Deputy Minority Leader. Those in support of the amendment moved by the Minority Leader, say aye. And those against, you say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Akwata, say amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and my distinguished colleagues. My amendment stems from the fact that the issue of casualization has permeated the entire employment, environment in Nigeria, both public and private, and it's a very serious issue. Just last week here, we had a motion on casualization in the oil and gas industry. Now we're talking about casualization in the banking sector. Very soon we'll talk about construction, and so on and so forth. So, Mr. Speaker, on the strength of that, I want to recommend an amendment to the first prayer by the
That was his amendment. They deleted it.
Really?
Yeah.
Your amendment is deleting or? No, my interest actually is that whether or not we are okay, fine. What I want to add is that the investigation should not be limited to banking industry. It should be limited to every labor employer in the country, including every other industry apart from the banking industry.
Any seconder, please? Any seconder? Honorable Babangida.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I want to speak against the motion.
Point of order.
Okay, second and speak against. Second, so that you have the opportunity to speak against. Because if nobody seconds, you won't be able to speak against it.
There's no way I can second what I don't agree.
It's tactical. You say you want to speak against. Nobody's putting their hand up to second. That means you will not have the opportunity to speak against. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to speak against.
Mr. Speaker, this is an amendment. There's already an existing amendment. So I can't second this. In fact, I want to speak against the motion.
All right. Any Honorable Balogu, you want to second the amendment? Another amendment. Any seconder to Honorable Akpata says, Chief Whip, even you, Chief Whip, you ought to amend the second.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, in the spirit of leadership, I am seconding the amendment moved by the Deputy Leader of the House.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The nays have it. Honorable Balogun, what's the amendment?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, my name is Honorable Adebayo Balogun, representing the Lekki Federal Constituency of Lagos State. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, my amendment is to expand the scope of the amendment made by the minority leader, that Committee of Finance and Banking and Finance should look, banking and currency should look into the casualization of staff in banking sector. But I want to also add that the Committee on Labor and Productivity should, relevant committees,
no, I think it is good that it will be specific, because every committee can find themselves relevant. Okay, so your amendment is to add labor and productivity. Any seconder? Oh, Idris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Kabiru Idris, member representing Kura Madobigar Malam, Federal Constituency. I'm from Kano State. I rise to support, to second the amendment made by the honorable colleague. I so support. Thank you.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, we move to consideration of reports. The 12th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to amend the Institute of Chartered Chemists of Nigeria, Cap 1, L112, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the role of chemists, the regulation of practicing fees by members of the Institute, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 5th November 2019. I now invite Honorable Mohammed Umar Jaga to move for the consideration.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Jaga is not on the floor. I apply that the bill be stepped down by the leader of the House. That's all.
Let us step down. The 13th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, charged with the responsibilities to, amongst others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Thursday, 21st of November, 2019. Honorable Abbas Tajuddin will move for its consideration.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. I represent Zaria Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to propose that the act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility, among others, of providing community policing and maintenance of law and order and community services to Nigerians, and for other related matters, be considered. I so move.
Seconded. Honorable Idris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Kabiru Idris, member representing Kura Madobigar Malam. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. I rise to support the motion heavily moved by my elder colleague. I so support, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, the ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the 14th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, for training, certification, and registration of personnel in Nigeria and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Thursday, 21st November 2019. Honorable Gideon Gwani will move for its consideration.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Gwani is not on the floor. I apply that the bill be stepped down by the leader of the House. I saw left side.
The bill stepped down. Honorable Akwata, as leader, please move that the House do resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider the bills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, I'm Comrade Peter Hiozuji Akwata in MNI. I move that the House resolve to Committee of the Whole to consider the reports as presented. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndidi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anacho Shimifera constituency. I rise to second the motion move that we do consider this report at the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. House hereby resolves the Committee of the Whole. Very quickly, honorable colleagues, I don't know if the chairman loans and aids is here. We need his report on Tuesday. Two matters were resolved to that committee, were referred to the committee, one on the Kogi loan and the other one on the federal government loan. Please, we need these two matters, these reports on Tuesday. Thank you.
Distinguished respected colleagues, the bill to be considered is for an act to establish a vigilante group of Nigeria charged with responsibility to, among other things, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians and for related matters. I invite Honorable Abbas Tajudeen to give the synopsis of the report again. I don't know whether we will require any synopsis again because we have done that in the last time and then put up a committee to go through. Well, over Abbas, they said they still have to do the needful.
Right Honorable Chairman, my honorable colleagues, You may recall that this bill was presented last week.
I think you do us good to give us just a report of what you have done, so that we just go into the real business and then pass the bill. Thank you. We'll consider that we're taking at some, and then we have charged you again to go and do certain work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have gone through the bill, and these are the we have made these corrections. The members of the first amendment is in regards to the secretary to the board, and we have resolved that the deputy commandant general in charge of administration shall serve as the secretary to the board. Then other amendments that we have also found worthy of presenting include amendment to section 7, section 7, subsection 1. The commandant general shall be the executive and accounting officer of the group. Then another amendment that will follow that subsection is subsection 2. There shall be recruited to assist the commandant general such regular and volunteer members as may be determined by the board. Again, we found it worthy to recommend for insertion of another subsection 3 under the same section 7.
As you say, what did you say? You say you find it worthy for the...
We.
No, for what?
The amendments to the sections that were observed during
You
the
say insertion?
Yes, because it was not there.
I would rather have to say inclusion.
Amendment.
Thank you. Let's use the word insertion.
Amendment, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry to use that word. So the next amendment is the qualification of members of the vigilante group. And the amendment we are proposing is definition of who is a regular member and who is a non-regular member. And we find it expedient to define that. So under subsection 3A, we propose regular members and their conditions of service shall be similar to those applicable to the security services established by law in Nigeria. And B, volunteer members shall be determined by the board from time to time. Then lastly, we have an amendment to section 31, page 20, by inserting the following. Regular member means a member of the group whose appointment is subject to the payment of approved salary and other conditions of service, including pension, as may be determined by the board or law. And then we also propose for amendment on volunteer member to mean a person who is appointed to offer free services to the group or who is appointed on ad hoc basis and is not entitled to salary or any pecuniary payments. There was another amendment that Honorable Babangida proposed during our last sitting, which was in respect of I'm just trying to remind that there was an existing amendment that was done, which we need to incorporate among the amendments, and that is on section 2. Section 2 of the bill, which talks about the composition of the board. And under section 2, page 2 of the report, the report, there is under E of it, where it is indicated 2 other persons to represent public interest, who are full-time members appointed by the president. The amendment is to expand it to 6, so that each person should come from one geopolitical zone, so that all the 6 geopolitical zones will be adequately represented. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
You shall submit. Thank you. Well, colleagues, I don't know what they have done. If it's acceptable to us, I think we'll just go straight. And the question is, those in support of clause 1. Clause 1. You have an issue? No, we have to go clause by clause.
One of the comments that he made, that payment of salaries to officers of the corps shall be, I think it was section 7.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I want to move for amendment of 2E. 2E is saying that 2 other persons to represent public interest who are full-time members appointed by the president. Instead of that, I want to amend that 6 persons from each geopolitical zone instead of 2 will be appointed by the president. Thank you.
Good.
I, Honorable Adebayo Balogun, representing Beguleki Federal Constituency, support the amendment of increasing the nominees by the president from 2 to 6, representing each political zone. I so second.
2.
I.
Clause 3. Clause 4. Clause 5. What's the amendment on 5? Was there any amendment 3? What was the amendment? Okay. 3 as amended. Thank you. Clause 5. Clause 5. 6. Seven. Clause 7, yes. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My dear colleagues, Solomon Mared is my name, and I represent the good people of Mangubo Federal Constituency. I am from Plateau State, home of our chairman. Mr. Chairman, I look at the amendments on section 7.3a, where it stated that regular members and their conditions of service shall be similar to those applicable to the security services established by law in Nigeria. And my concern is that we have several security services operating different salary structure. And I wish that we amend it to read that as applicable to those of members of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, so that it will have a particular salary structure that is already known by law. Yes, sir. So that will take police out of it. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
So you should know the attention of, if they are community policing now, you should know the attention of the chairman.
Yes, sir.
And then pursued by the same organization. What were they seeking to? I think they were looking for recognition. Why are we now introducing the issue of payment of salary? It's not part of it. And you know for sure the contour of the problem. So that if we don't make the thing to go and solve, I don't know. So that most of the people who are doing volunteer are retirees. Huh? Later, not now.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, sir, the issue you raise is very germane. Presently, we have vigilantes across Nigeria, and giving them a legal backing, it's just the best approach. But don't create a commission that will now be paying them salaries. At what level? This is my own major concern. So many of them are retired officers who have been doing this thing, but not, I said so many of them, but not under a law. What I thought you want to do is to give them a legal backing for them to be able to operate in their various communities. Now, if you create a pension or salary and put them on pension, we are complicating the system.
Chairman, why can't we qualify those who are eligible to be members of vigilante groups? Because if we're going to be looking at the issue of pension, and in most cases, talk about my community, the people that are vigilante are the younger ones. They are not pensionable individuals. And in that regard, they may be eligible if in the event that this is passed. So it's either we put a clause that if you are an existing pensionable officer, that you are ineligible, or we delete the clause completely. It's either we delete the clause completely, or we amend that provision so that, you know, there will be a way that we don't duplicate, because there is a ruling. Chairman, are you listening, sir? There's already a ruling in today's judgment in the Ikoyi court, where the court is asking that all the former governors, former governors who are now senators should forfeit all the pensions that they had been paid, because they are all now ministers or senators. In fact, the judgment just took, there's a breaking news on that.
Concern that I'm still raising, because one, we have to do things that will help us manage the economy very well. Yes, there are very prevalent level of unemployment in the country. And I thought, if at all what they were asking, which has gone through the last reading, the only thing that we had was it wasn't assented to. And that's why we are now treating it again, is to create a legal backing. And the committee that was set last week was to go and strengthen, to ensure that we have an agency that will be have some legal backing. Introducing financial costs at this level, did we imagine the quantum of money that possibly will come? And for me, I'm concerned, because I want us to pass things that will go and have the face of it, not to continuously do the things in the former way we are used to doing it. I don't want us to do that, go that way. But if you, it's the opinion of the House, there's nothing. Yes, sir.
Chairman, sir, I want us to look at the reasons these vigilantes are actually looking for recognition. One, most of them do more of the security job within their local base. But because of they don't have the backing of the law, most of the times the police even harass them. So, and again, they don't have the capacity to carry arms to do their job. So two of the reasons they will be asking for recognition is for them at least to be able to carry probably light arms, and also get remuneration that will be reasonable, probably from at their state level. I'm not saying it must be from federal government. There must be, it must be a regulatory thing to say this is what they should be paid. It won't be federal government paying. So they are employed at their various agencies, state level or the local level. So there must be a standard. Because, okay, as a vigilante, you should be able to hand so. And probably also look at the level of uniform and equipment they can also carry. Thank you, sir.
Maybe because the leader is saying a different thing. It says 3A says regular members and their condition of service shall be similar to those applicable to the security service established by law in Nigeria. And he automatically talking about salary structure and other things.
I don't think that the amendment, this provision, is talking about the core vigilante operators. I think the amendment, if I'm mistaken, Abbas should be able to bail me out. I think the amendment is to the effect of those who will be working in the commission that is saddled with the responsibility of regulating those vigilante people. If that is the case, it is acceptable. But not for us, the regulators, to be the one to pay salaries of all vigilantes all over the country. That is out of place.
So let's
Thank you, Chair. If members of the Eighth Assembly are here and they could recall what we have discussed during the formative stage of this bill, even during the lead debate, we made mention that vigilante group will be substantially a volunteer organization. Substantially. But because we don't want to create ambiguity in the future, because the law is supposed to be forever, there will come a day when some members of the vigilante who are on volunteer will begin to think that they should be paid, just like any other paramilitary organization. And that's the reason why we say we need to make a distinction between those who will work in the commission and who will be responsible for regulating their activities to be clearly defined as members. And then every other person who is a vigilante will be considered as a volunteer. So that from day one, if you're a member of a volunteer vigilante group, you should know that the government is not going to pay you salaries and you should not expect anything from the government. And that's the reason why, to avoid any ambiguity in the future, we decided that these two classes of membership should be clearly defined so that in the future there will be no any confusion between a member of the commission and other volunteers that are working under the group. Thank you, Chair.
I rather urge, even though we are not yet there, so that we'll have synergy of what we are doing. Go to part 5. Let's go to part 5, so that you see the fear I'm raising. Go to part 5, page 12. It says the vigilante group shall establish and maintain a fund into which shall be paid and accredited, take grants, annual subvention, and budgetary allocations received from the government of the Federation. So it does not define now who are going to be beneficial of this. Such monies may be appropriated to the vigilante group by the National Assembly. Such money as may be lent and deposit with the. It's no longer volunteer. If that's what is there.
Can I, Chairman, sir? I think I want to move. Chairman, I'm your leader. Now, when leader is speaking, you sit down. That is the truth. Yes, sir, but I am a leader. Don't worry. Chairman, sir, I think, on a more serious note, I think we should step this thing down. I think it should be stepped down. The reason is this. It's just like NHIS. NHIS Act is meant to regulate. They don't pay HMOs. HMOs on their own are operators, and they have a way of settling themselves. So also the Vigilante Commission should be saddled with the responsibility of regulating all players as vigilantes. And so they shouldn't be seen to be taking money from taxpayers' money to pay all the workers across the whole. It's as good as setting up like equivalent of civil defense. That is the truth. So what I'm saying is for your own good, sir, is for you to go now and let us do justice to the bill and make it to seem as a commission that is saddled with the responsibility of regulating them.
Give bill as commission. But if you read the long title of the bill, it's not a commission. It's a group. So you are talking, I have not seen anywhere you are definition of commission. There's no commission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to draw our attention, like the chairman has said. You see, what the bill is providing is regulatory responsibilities. Now, each regulatory agency is a federal government because the essence of the vigilante group is to bridge a gap in our security at local level. Now, if each and one of us should reflect in his constituency, you discover that in most of the wards, what you have is outposts. And in the outposts, you hardly see more than 3 or 5 policemen. So what this bill is trying to provide is to bridge that gap. And what the bill is trying to provide here is regulatory group. And that's just wrong if federal government is funding people that are charged with regulation. So I think what he is trying to explain is that the salary and other doesn't go to the volunteers. The salary is going to the workers who are charged with the responsibility of regulating. So there's nothing wrong with it. I think we should go ahead and attend to this bill because nobody is paying anybody at the local level. Nobody is paying anybody. But there are not many.
Sir, let me say over and over and over, there are lots of contradictions. So that you marry the two. Go to clause 13. Clause 13. It says the service in the individual group shall be approved service for the purpose of the Pension Reform Act, and accordingly regular members and employees of the group are entitled to pension, gratuities, and other retirement benefits. I say there's nowhere you're talking about the people who are going to be in service. You see, I urge us, and we are, this is the main purpose why we're here. If we're going to make law, let's make laws that would stand the test of time and we'll be able to defend whatever we're sending out. As far as I'm concerned, there are many contradictions between the proponents of those who are saying it's commission and those who are saying no, it is for the just. The definition here all is about members. But if you want us to go, let's go. This is the period of the House. Closer. You want to respond, sir?
Mr. Chairman, I want us to understand that the intent of this bill is purely to establish a force that will complement the work of the police at the community level. But in doing so, we recognize one fact, that there is no way you can be able to establish a command structure from the federal to the state to the local government without the federal government coming by way of assisting in funding the operation of those offices. But the real operation of the field commanders, those who are going to work in our communities, is going to be purely voluntary. And that is the reason why, because we don't want an ambiguity. Those who are going to be in charge of the local government offices, like DPOs now, if we are talking about the police, we have an equivalence in the vigilante, and we have an equivalence of the state commissioner of police at the state level. And then we have an equivalence of the inspector general at the federal level. All those command structures are people that we believe that the bill should recognize as full members.
Doctor, I want to save you and I want to save us. If you say you are going to have the equivalent of IG and then commissioners of police, you are no longer having it as a commission. The equivalent of it should have been the Police Service Commission Act, maybe looking at the police pursuit, looking at what it is now defining in its own function. But what they are giving is they are giving out the nomenclature and structure of the service of the Nigerian police, which is what we are quoting at this hour.
No, Mr. Speaker, we are not adopting that.
No, it's not the IG. It's not the IG that regulates police. It's the Police Service Commission that regulates police. And so you have, in the Police Service Commission, I will tell you, as a chairman of federal character, in that agency, there are not more than 100 or 50 people in the entire Police Service Commission.
We are not saying that only people who are at the federal level will be considered
Let's make progress. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I don't know the drafters of this bill, and I think that we should not do things that will ridicule us, honestly speaking. If you look at the structure, the command structure you have, you should look at Assistant Group Commandant, Bush and Forest Surveillance, motor parks, I mean, go to too many pages, you see anti-robbery, patrol and guards, all these commands, Deputy Group Superintendent, gender. It means we don't even know what we are talking about. Honestly, it's not about regulatory now. It's like you are creating superfluous structure that does not even exist in any of our security outfits. Honestly speaking, if you look, you have senior group inspector, narcotics control. Do you understand? I think those who did this structure, they don't mean well for it. Okay? It was rejected. I don't know. The issue is this. Wait now, Honorable, wait.
Stop raising your voice. Stop raising your voice.
Was it signed? Okay, so wait now. You have brought this. I mean, this is Parliament. We are making laws for the people now. What we are saying is that whatever laws that we pass here, we should be able to defend it. We should be able to defend it. If I get out there and the pressman accosts me, I should be able to say what I have been part of. No, where was I in data? If I was not, wait now, my brother, why are you this? If I wasn't on the floor on the day of consideration, that doesn't mean I was not a member of National Assembly. I'm here now. I should play my role now. That's the issue. As much as the Vigilante Group Commission is required, we should go back and restructure this. That's my own.
Today, what we are supposed to be doing is consideration of the report. And so I'll go straight to the questions. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very passionate about this bill.
It's a fantastic bill. But I think we need to do a good job on this bill. Otherwise, this bill will be caught in the quagmire the Peace Corps bill is suffering. It's a fantastic bill because it's a volunteer thing. Every part of this country, we see the presence of these people. It is good if we can sit down and look at this bill. It is good if we can sit down and look at this bill, collaborate with the sponsor of this bill, since he has full knowledge of this. Let's point out these issues that are most likely to cause the bill some problems as we move forward. Since it is a volunteer thing, I don't think we should involve public funds in it. It's a volunteer thing. We can do the financial provisions for it, even within the realms of volunteering, because we know what we do to these vigilantes in our place. We know how we contribute money to support the group, to support their functions, and they are effective in these our communities everywhere in the country. So we can look at it and see how do we come with financial provisions within their core activities without actually getting involved into government finances.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mohamed Tari Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Nganje Federal Constituency of Borno State. I have listened attentively to all the arguments canvassed in the course of considering this report. But one point stands out very clear, and that is the fact that what this bill essentially seeks to achieve is there will be a commission or a regulatory body that will regulate the activities of all these vigilantes. Those people are supposed to be paid salaries and other emoluments. Apart from that, there are supporting staff that are supposed to support members of this regulatory body, are supposed to earn salaries and emoluments, while the core vigilantes, that one is purely voluntary service. But one thing that I have observed is the way and manner the bill was drafted. The way and manner the bill was drafted is so if I can use the lawyer's language, is so clumsy that one cannot actually understand the intent of the bill. But then notwithstanding, that is the intention of the bill, and I agree with the sponsor of the bill that one should not be mistaken at all. It's not speaking about paying the volunteers, but the regulators and their supporting staff. So my advice is that we should go on, consider the report where we think there is where we think a provision or a clause is clumsy. We can amend it, or we can redraft it and then proceed, or even then adjourn that clause to a future date for consideration.
Well,
sorry, sir.
Respected colleagues, I want to say that the general opinion, as far as I'm concerned, as expressed here, everybody is in support of the bill. But it is the provisions that are being queried. And anything doing is what doing well. From here, we have the next, maybe to the end of the session, another 6 months. I don't want to say we're going to get beyond that. So that we do the right thing and our laws will be respected. He said it, he used the word clumsy. I would not like the bill that has been passed through these chambers be referred to anybody for the purpose of criticism using those words he used as clumsy. I thought in our own interest even if we are going to employ a consultant or give it to the people that are going to the writing, it's better to give them, come out with something suddenly, very well. You see, the issue and problem of ours is that we come carry. And by the time it passes 1-2 hands, the criticism that will come will be beyond even the quantum of what we are sending out. I wouldn't like that one. You are the mover. If you agree, we'll continue. You don't agree, continue. No, stepping down with a particular because the last time we gave it to a subcommittee, they should have, if they were a thorough job, those issues possibly would have been observed. And by my own assumption, if we want to do a good job, we must also involve the bureaucrats. Because our time is not much in giving in terms of going through, and maybe some of our aides that are good in bill drafting. It's important. We are lucky it's not going for public hearing. If we tidy it up well, we send it to the Senate for concurrence. And for it, I received the delegation when they came, and I promised them we are going to do our best. We are all beneficiaries of their own actions in our various communities. Nobody will claim that he doesn't know the importance of the legislative group. Nobody. If it's a true Nigerian, most of us that are coming from the village background, at least will speak volumes for them.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, my honorable colleagues. In view of all the contributions made by members, I would like to propose that the bill should be stepped down to enable a select committee of this House to further look at the bill and propose more amendments. That's what move.
If I may ask, sir, the last committee that we put, you were supposed to be involved, chairman rules, then chairman justice and judiciary. Was it what was done?
We were not told. I was just asked to do so. I was just asked to take my bill back and look at whoever is interested in contributing. That was exactly what the minutes, the proceedings of that particular day read. It was not supposed to be a committee. There was no committee set up.
Because there was another bill that I remember.
There was no committee set up for this one.
But it's not this
no, it's not this one.
It's not this one, sir.
No.
No, it's not this one.
No.
There was committee.
But it's not on this bill.
You only contributed and suggested that, but there was no any. Yeah. I have not seen that votes and proceedings that
let me recall, except if those who are capturing their own didn't do their work well. Sir, I want to insist that there was committee. And I remember Babangida was mentioned as part of the committee. Thank you. There was committee. There was committee. No, there was committee.
Mr. Chairman, if there is any committee like that, since they have not been given the opportunity to take a look.
Let me say there was committee, and we even asked them that the committee should now report to us. That's why when you were saying I now ask you, why are you using the word I?
Well, I'm not aware, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear, and I checked the votes and proceedings. I didn't. But since it is the opinion of this House that a committee has been set up already, and members have already been mentioned, I would want to suggest that the committee should be given another chance to go through this bill and bring another recommendation back to the House. Thank you.
Well, I would rather go the same way we did the other time. You were supposed to be part of it. The minority leader was supposed to be chairman justice, chairman judiciary, Babangida, and then Honorable Fakei were the ones that were mentioned. Rules and business. So please, I don't know, we still have another week possibly before we break. so that if the committee can work through the weekend, chairman rules. I suppose it's possible.
No.
Since we're all going to be in Lagos, we can walk there.
Let me mention again, our prayer is that, like Honorable Abangida suggested, we should use the period of the weekend for the purpose of working on this bill. And the committees are like this. Chief Chairman. Yes, sir.
Oh. If he has withdrawn it, there is need, because he had already approved some clauses, there is need for us to rescind them. Clause 1 and 2 had been carried. So we've done clause 1 and 2. Okay. Up to 4. All right.
Where is it? I think, colleagues, so that you go back and do a thorough job. My attention has just been drawn and I see reason with it. Get to establishment of governing board, clause 2. The membership like this, the board shall consist of minister in charge of the police of one other person not below the rank of assistant director to represent the ministry in charge of police. When you have the minister again, then you have another one to represent the ministry. Then you have again legal advisor to the ministry charged with the responsibility matter related to the police affairs again. So how many of them are you going to have in the same board? There's need to walk over through even the clauses that we have approved so that we will do a good job. That I would. Thank you, sir. So, Chief Whip Chairman, members, Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, the minority leader, Chairman Rules, Chairman Justice, Chairman Judiciary, Honorable Babangida, and then Fakei. Secretariat will provide the clerk that will do the job. Thank you. Do we give you 3-4 days?
Mr. Chairman, I want to propose that since it is a very thorough job we want, we should give about a month, so that when we come back in January we can do a good job.
Thank you. That the chairman interior is supposed to be part of it. Maybe I'm police. The leader is really, eh? No, you are there. You can sense. It's not. Ojoro. No go. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, sir, once again, Honorable Ayo Badegun, based on what we just observed here today, and as part of what most of us have been clamoring several times, is that all materials needed for deliberation must get to us on time, because the value of our contribution will be based on what we read. It's not easy to just go through 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 pages. I thank my colleague over there for insisting that this clause 7 should be thoroughly looked into. And we've now found out that not only the 7 now, it's even all major part of the clauses. And please, we want to appeal to appropriate bodies responsible for these materials getting to us early enough. This would have just gone and would have been embarrassed by Mr. President. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yeah, in that year, I said, because this was a bill that was put for consideration and then stepped down for further legislative input. And nobody received or retrieved a copy for any of the member that was present here. So especially, you will have used it again to go through it, to do those things I'm not asking for. Thank you, sir. We said to January, when we return, that's when we are going to have a report. 1 month. Thank you. Well, leader, move that we revert to plenary to report progress.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my distinguished colleagues, including the immediate past Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara. I move that the Committee of the Whole do resolve to plenary to report progress. I so move.
Seconder, leader, sir.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I second the motion that the House do revert to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. House revert to plenary to report progress.
Honorable members, be seated, please. Be seated. Honorable Engineer, sit down. Resume your seat. The Dean, Honorable John Deere, you can exchange pleasantries with the former speaker after the House has formally adjourned. Please resume your seat for now. Engineer Marine too, resume your seat for now. You can exchange pleasantries with the former speaker later. Chairman Custom, resume your seat.
Very distinguished colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of a bill for an act to establish a plenty group of Nigeria, charged with responsibility to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians and related matters. Deferred consideration of the report for the committee set up to review it to report back to the House within 1 month. Leader, move for the adoption of the report.
Mr. Speaker, once again, I move that the report be adopted. I so move.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Speaker, I second the motion that the report of the Committee of the Whole be adopted.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, move for the adjournment of the House tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. I am Comrade Peter Ohiozoje Patterson, MNI. I represent great people of Akoko-Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House adjourn to 11 o'clock of tomorrow, Thursday. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I second the motion for adjournment as moved by the Deputy Leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. House stand adjourned to tomorrow, 11 a.m.